score standards. I'm a state certified driving instructor. I teach adults and teens. So I have some requests to talk about the driving test, what's on there, typical scores, levels of difficulty. Let's go ahead and get it. The proper way to perform each required test maneuver are outlined in the section. So I'm actually going to give you all the information, and then it's up to you and your parent, your caregiver, your guardian to practice. The biggest thing is I see that people don't practice. The better you prepare yourself for the test, please read each section carefully and practice these maneuvers until you master them. Mastery is extremely important. Unfortunately, a lot of people just don't take the time. They think they can just come in, take the test, whoop, 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 and out. But that's not really the case. The information provided in this section contains scoring tips, and I'm going to give you those tips, and should not be considered a comprehensive instruction guide to help you complete these maneuvers. To attain a passing score, you cannot accumulate any more than 25 points. Every location in California, it could be 30. In Michigan, it could be 25. In Ohio, it could be 20. In New Hampshire, it could be 17. So you need to know the score ranges. So if you make a mistake, you can say to yourself, oh, that's 7 points. Oh, that's 9 points. Because you will have some minuses along the way, because none of us technically drive perfectly. Turns. We're going to first get into turns because that's really important. You have been asked to make a turn. Be sure to recognize the need to set up your turn. I always talk about setup. And in setup, this is where you are going at the correct speed. You need to set up the turn in advance. You need to get into the appropriate lane. If you're making a right turn, you need to get over to the right turn lane. If you're making a left turn, you need to get over to the left turn lane early and appropriately. Blinker, mirror, turn signal, looking over your shoulder and checking your blind spot. Enter the lane at the designated opening. What does this mean? There's a designated opening that you will get into. It's actually a break in the pavement. So if you get into early, you'll get a deduction. If you get in too late, you'll get a deduction. If you cut off cars, you'll get a bigger deduction. So you can see where it's really technical, and I'm basically a technical person, and I want to help you with those techniques. So I try when I'm driving and showing you this is a minus, this is acceptable, so you'll know, okay, I have 4 minuses. If I get 10 more, I'll be in grounds of failing the test. So if you get in too late, a deduction. Too early, a deduction. You don't want to straddle lanes. You want to get into that center turn lane and stop. And you inch forward as traffic moves up. You do have to check traffic in all directions. That's to see you looking left, looking straight, looking right, and doing your mirror checks. If you don't, guess it, you'll receive a deduction. So traffic checks must be made obvious. So you really want to overemphasize looking around. They're going to be sitting. Thank you. I'm doing good. Thank you, Omar. I appreciate it. Talking about the road test, getting you guys and ladies ready. And if you got questions, just put them in. I'm blessed to be here. So the road tester will be sitting in the passenger seat. They're going to have a clipboard. They're going to have a scorecard. They're going to tell you, make a right turn. At the next light, make a left turn. I need you to enter the roundabout. So there won't be that casual conversation that I kind of have with you guys. So you really got to know what you're doing, and you got to be comfortable and consistent. Thank you. I want to continue. So let's continue. We're talking about turns. Next, check blind spots. A lot of beginners, thank you for the thumbs up, check blind spots. If you're making the lane change to the left, look over your left shoulder. If you're making a lane change to the right, look over your right shoulder. Make it obvious. Use the turn signal safely and move into the appropriate lane. If you don't use your turn signal, a deduction. Could be 1 point, could be up to 3. Enter the left or right turn lanes at their designated openings. They're going to have an opening in the pavement, and I'm really big on pavement markings. We'll do a tutorial on this, and you'll have some of those things coming. Next, activate your turn signal at least 100 feet, 100. a half a block, about 5 cars, 3 to 5 blinks. Your road tester will be sitting in the passenger seat. He or she will have that clipboard, and they will be evaluating you. Did you turn on the blinker? Did you turn it on too late? Did you turn it on too early? If you turn it on too early, you're going to confuse people. If you turn it on too late, you could hit someone or someone could hit you. And then guess what? That's a deduction. Brake smoothly without jerking. If you're in the manual, you're going to push in that clutch and downshift to the lower gear. If you're in an automatic, squeeze that brake with the ball of your foot. Never depress the accelerator or brake pedal at the same time. I've had students be very nervous and they hit the brake and gas at the same time. The car will kind of lunge forward and then you'll get a deduction. Stop behind another vehicle, stop at a safe distance. To see at a minimum, you should see the rear tires on the ground. And if you've seen my content, and most of you have, I always talk about we got to see the rear tires on the ground. Always leave enough space to pull out and around a vehicle. On left turns, please listen, on left turns, if appropriate, when safe to do so, pull ahead into the intersection and prepare for the turn. If present, keep the traffic signal visible and keep your front wheels aimed straight. This is a big one. If you get rear-ended and your wheels are turned, you'll be knocked into oncoming traffic. Left turns are some of the most difficult turns because they're not normally used, and I try to integrate left turns, right turns, lane changing into, if there are no cars, you go up to the middle, you check, and then you make your left turn. Let's talk about when ready to turn. This is very comprehensive. Check all directions. Make sure it's obvious to the examiner that you move your head. Make sure you have enough time, right, without causing vehicles to speed up or slow down, or you will get a deduction. Yield to any vehicles or pedestrians in the intersection. When turning, do not allow your vehicle to cross a line. This is why I always tell you, turn in the nearest lane, L-A-N-E. If you're making a right turn, you should be turning right by the curb lane. If you're making a left turn, it should be by the double yellow. If your car crosses a lane, that's a deduction, and it could be an at-fault accident, and then the instructor and the road tester will say, the test is terminated, you're crying, your guardian's crying, and you didn't listen to me. So you need to listen. Next, yield to pedestrians. Your turn should be completely smooth. This means you're not underhand, throwing the wheel. You're not jerking the wheel. It should be smooth, whether you're turning hand over hand or hand to hand. By a show, are you guys turning hand over hand or hand to hand? Or are you palming the wheel? So in the chat, I want you to type in, are you turning hand to hand, hand over hand, or are you palming the wheel? Turn smoothly and completely at the speed that is not too fast or too slow. Upon completing the turn, check traffic in all directions, turn into the correct lane. A lot of beginners turn in the wrong lane, thereby causing an at-fault accident, and you guess what? You received a -10, that puts you over 25, the test is terminated. Turn into the correct lane when turning left from a single left turn lane. Your vehicle should finish into the lane that is directly right of the center line. Hey, how are you doing? Accelerate your vehicle to keep up with the pace. A lot of beginners lift their foot. Their car kind of slows down. That's a deduction. If you're driving a manual, you're in the wrong gear, the car will buck and surge, and guess what? You've lost points. You must show clutch control. Signal and move into the right lane if you're traveling slower than traffic. Slower traffic will stay to the right. Faster moving traffic will be in the middle lane or far left lane. Let's talk about intersections. As you approach an intersection that requires stopping prior to proceeding through, check all traffic. I should see you looking left, middle, right, left. I should see you checking your mirrors. You're looking for pedestrians. Make it obvious to the examiner. I try to make it obvious when I'm driving, when I'm narrating, when I'm showing them this information. Why? Because I'm a state certified driving instructor, and I need all of you to be looking at this content, asking questions, and preparing for your road test. Brake smoothly and stop without skidding or jerking the vehicle. Come to a complete stop. Then stop at the stop bar. The stop bar is the thick white line. If you're past the white line, a deduction. If you're past the stop bar or stop line and the crosswalk, another deduction. So it's really easy to go over. You're saying, man, I got 25 points. No, you at 10 right now because you went over, you turned in the wrong lane, you passed the stop bar or stop line. So you really have to focus on clean driving. Really important that you do that. Come to a complete stop at the stop line, crosswalk, or sidewalk. If there is no stop line or crosswalk, stop at a safe place before the intersection. A lot of beginners stop all the way into the intersection. The front of the car is in the intersection. Literally, we can get the front of the car knocked off. Please don't do that. You want to be at a safe distance. You're going to be in a dangerous maneuver, and then the tester will mark you down a -5, a -7. If stop behind another vehicle, stop at a safe distance. A minimum, you want to see the rear of the tires on the ground. Always leave enough space so you can pull out and around in case your car breaks down. How do you drive through intersections? Let me talk about this. Check traffic in all directions thoroughly. Again, look left, middle, right. You have to look. If you're not used to making those head checks, you need to start because you will get marked down if you do. It's simply for your safety and mine and your examiners. Make sure you have enough time to cross the intersection safely without causing a vehicle to adjust your speed or take evasive action. What does this mean? A car just pulled out in front. You got to swerve to the left or swerve to the right. That is the deduction in points because you didn't yield to a car or bike or pedestrian that is in the intersection. If the light turns yellow as you approach, you should attempt to stop before if you can do it safely. If you run a yellow light, this could be a deduction in points. And if you run a red light, you're automatically terminated. We cannot run red lights. It's really important. Let's continue. When you take your driver's license test, do you make? They do. It depends on the state, region, or what part of the country you're in. Most states in the United States, you have a parallel parking component, a curved parking component, an angle parking component. It really depends on where you're located in the state. Type in where you're from. I can give you your information. You should always have an escape route. Thank you for the heart. Meaning, you don't want to be right behind someone. You want to be able to see the rear of their tires. If the traffic light turns yellow as you approach, attempt and go safely through. Yield to any pedestrians, vehicles in the intersection. It seems like common sense, but if you get sloppy, you're nervous, and you will be nervous, then you're going to make those small mistakes and you're going to get some deductions. Next, don't change lanes in the middle of the intersection. That is a deduction. Both hands should be kept on the steering wheel unless you're shifting. Okay? Then you take your right hand off, you push the clutch in with your left foot, you shift to the next appropriate gear smoothly without jerking the car. You have to have clutch control. Unnecessary stops can create a potentially dangerous situation. A lot of beginners tap brakes, tap brakes, tap brakes because they're not sure. This is confusing and frustrating and dangerous for other drivers. Thereby, you could receive a -2, a -3. Unless shifting, you should keep both hands on the steering wheel. A lot of people ask me, can I drive with one hand? You need to drive with both hands on the steering wheel. Adjust your speed and keep with the pace of traffic, but you can't go over the speed limit. Let's talk about expressway or rural highway driving. Check traffic to find a gap and merge out. A lot of beginners go too slow. You lose your speed. Example, the speed limit is 70. You're going 60. Too slow. You're going 55. Too slow. You're going 45. Too slow. We lost our speed and we're going to get cut off. Make sure you have great speed control getting onto the ramp. Adjust your speed. That allows you to merge with the flow of the traffic. Merge smoothly into the nearest lane. Many roads here in the United States have a solid white line. You should not cross that line. You will get a deduction. You don't have enough speed. Traffic on the expressway has to yield to traffic merging on. Some cars will not let you over. You're either going to speed up and get in front of them or slow down and get behind them. But if you do nothing, that is a fail. Stay within your lane markings. I just talked about that. Cancel your turn signal once you have merged completely. When driving on an expressway or rural highway, check traffic regularly every 8 to 10 seconds. Make sure your traffic checks are obvious. Check that blind spot. Don't keep checking and checking because you're going to drift out of the lane. I had a client do that today. The car was all over the road. I had to support the client and hold the steering wheel. Your road tester will not do that. And if you jerk or weave in the lane, you're going to have deductions. Thank you for the hearts. Make sure you're obviously checking. Maintain your awareness and speed on the road. You want to look ahead at least 12 seconds. Let's talk about vehicle inspection before you even get out there. Your vehicle must have valid insurance. If your insurance card is expired, you will not be able to take the test. You must have a current vehicle registration. If those are expired, you need to go to the DMV and get another one. You need to have your license tags. They need to be current. Your vehicle must be in good working order. What does this mean? Your brake lights need to work. When they come out to examine your car, you're going to be asked to put your foot on the brake. Push the brake. Your left brake light should light up. All bulbs should work. Push the brake. Your right brake light bulbs all should work. Turn on left turn signal. That's the driver's side. It should work. Turn on passenger side turn signal. It should work. You should at least have a quarter of a tank of gas. You will be on there 35 to 40 minutes. It depends on the route, the day, and time of the test. Together, the examiner and applicants will inspect and familiarize yourself with the vehicle. Certain defective equipment will be refused. Your brakes must be in good working order. Thank you. Your brake lights must work. We talked about this. Your center brake light. This is in 1986 vehicles or older. Your doors must close fully and lock. Your fluid levels, your fuel levels should be at least about a half a tank. Your heater and defroster should work because you could be taking this in the wintertime or the fall. You could have one lug nut missing, but you can't have two or three. The lug nuts bolt the rim to the axle of the car. You must have your rear view mirror and outside mirrors. They must be working. You must have all people in the car with a seatbelt on. All occupants must be seated. Your speedometer must be working accurately. Your taillights must be in working order. Your tires should be properly inflated and not damaged. Your windshield should not be cracked. A small crack is okay, but if there's a crack across, you will not be eligible to take that road test. I want to talk about automatic failures because I have some questions on this. If you disregard the instructor and refuse to perform the maneuver, example, they want you to make a left turn, you panic, automatic failure. Repeated failure to follow instructions. They'll give you a verbal warning. This is your first verbal warning. Next verbal warning, I'm terminating the test. Now you know you're in trouble. Your mom and dad will look at you in the back window. Your older brother's looking at you in the back window. Listen to the instructor. Offering a bribe or gratitude. You should never do that. Refusal to wear seatbelt unless there's a physical statement from a doctor. Thank you for the hearts. Any accident may result in failure. You cut off a car. You make a lane change and you didn't look over your shoulder. Any traffic violation, not limited to, listen to this, accidents prevented by others. Examiner prevents crash. I had to turn the wheel because you cut off a car. Drifting into the curb or sidewalk. Endangering others. The driver creates a serious hazard. The speed limit is 45, you're at 30. That's a hazard. They fail to yield for bicyclists, pedestrians. They pass improperly, meaning you go off the road to pass a car. They drive the wrong way. This is very obvious, but imagine driving in downtown Detroit, downtown Houston, Texas, downtown Los Angeles, California. You will get confused. You'll make a wrong turn. Automatic failure. You fail to stop for a red light. This is a big one. A lot of beginners say, can I turn right on red? You have to stop for minimum 3 seconds, 1001, 1002, 1003. You look left, right, left, and if there's no sign and it's clear, you turn in the nearest lane. But a lot of beginners panic and just go. Automatic failure. If you go 4 to 9 over the limit of the basic speed limit, this is grounds for automatic failure. You're probably saying, man, they are really strict. And they are. They have to be. I take my job very serious. If you're taking the time to listen to me, I am very grateful because at the end of the day, I want to make you really good drivers. Speeds of 10 or more over the limit. Dangerous and inexperienced drivers. If you can't maintain the minimum speed. I had a client, she could not maintain 50 miles an hour. She was barely at 40. She had a restricted driving license. So if you want a restricted license, drive very slow. I don't want you to have that. If you drive 10 or more under the limit, if you're operating a manual transmission vehicle, you're unable to shift gears properly. At the end of the day, hopefully these things were helpful. You leave comments. If this brought you value, give it a thumbs up, share. And if you really want to hear more information, subscribe. I'll be going live. It could be at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Could be about 11 or at 3:05 Eastern Standard Time. And then tomorrow, 7:30, 7:45 p.m. I want to say thank you. You're awesome. Thank you, Maggie. I really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel, share it, and then I'll edit this into YouTube Shorts and make it fun for you guys. Bye.